Welcome, Marie in Zone 6, and I'd like to talk about some of the plant placements in my garden and the thought process behind them. This arborvitae you see by the front door, as well as these larger arborvitae in this front bed. You see some of them right below the limelight. I place these here for some winter interest, as well as to be foundation plants for the home. So these evergreens anchor the home all year round and add color all year round. I originally bought them in a cone shape, the traditional shape, but I cut them down into more of a round shape, and they've been like this for probably about, I'll guess and say about 8 years. The limelights you see, one by the bay window, as well as one on the other side to the right. I placed these there obviously because they're beautiful, and also because I wanted some balance and some repetition, and they provide balance and repetition along with the arborvitae you see. The Japanese viburnum you see at the corner of my home, it breaks up the brick, softens the corner, and also provides flower or floral beauty in the spring, so it's an early bloomer. It would normally be a round shrub, but I've limbed it up so that there's room down at the bottom and it won't encroach too much on my neighbor's cars. They have a few classic cars as well. Wouldn't want to bother those. The limelight hydrangea is turning a lovely pink. The millennium allium you see right to the right, as well as over here in this flower bed, I have 3. I like to do odd numbers ever so often. Once again, they provide some repetition and also some beauty later on in the season when other things aren't looking so great. When I bought these millennium allium, they were dormant, so they just look like dirt in a pot with some brown sticks. I planted them probably in November or December, and this is probably about 2 or 3 together. And you can see the results, so don't be afraid to buy dormant plants. I placed annual snowdrift supertunias, that calibrachoa, as well as this one is amethyst verbena, right there in that container. I placed these going up the walkway to kind of give a welcoming feel as you come up. And those are, of course, are the silverberry supertunias. They kind of feel like they're embracing me as I come up, or welcoming whoever takes the walkway up. This juniper here, my mother actually planted it right here. It was left by the prior owners and she put it here, and I'm very grateful because once again it adds weight to this side of the garden as well as winter interest. Headed towards the back garden, which is the west garden. This arborvitae, I think I actually planted it here. Another one that the prior homeowners left behind in a container. And I planted it here because there's a rusty oak fence behind there and I wanted to camouflage it. And it was tiny when I first planted it. Now look. And once again, this one would be a huge round bush, but I have limbed it up over the years to make room for entryway or for entering into the back garden. These arborvitae over here, these 1, 2, and the third one you see back there, this flower bed is extremely narrow, so I decided to add these arborvitae in containers because I just don't have room in the ground over there to plant them. And so they add weight as well as structure to this side of the garden, and also winter interest when everything else over here is pretty much died back, or almost everything. These containers of annuals I added in front of the flower bed, the narrow flower bed, to add some consistent color. That's what annuals do. They add consistent color, whereas perennials come and go usually throughout the growing season. That being bubblegum supertunia, snowdrift supertunia, and beacon impatient. I added that an arborvitae. I added that arborvitae over by that mirror I attached to my garage probably about, I don't know, maybe 2 years ago or so, because I felt like I needed something on the corner of the garage to break it up, as well as some evergreen interest in the winter in this particular area, because a lot of these plants die back, including this this hibiscus, which actually I just put in a year ago. But I have a lot of plants, herbaceous plants that die back in this particular area. This Limelight Prime I added over here, first of all, because I needed a spot for it, and second of all, because I wanted to put a shrub here that would get large enough to kind of conceal what's behind it, so you don't see the whole area behind it all at once. You kind of have to go around it to see some more of the garden. And so I'm hoping that it grows, gets taller, and reaches its full potential. Then I'll probably limit up at the bottom. Right now I'm standing by the back door of my home where I have a sitting room and a chair where I can look out this way. And so I planted, I put in containers, or planted in containers, these annuals. These are Easy Wave petunias. So I have something lovely to look out at from my back seat, as well as these potato vines. I wanted something not only that went up, that would be the sedum, they're kind of like the thriller, but I wanted what they would call the spiller as well. And so those potato vines spill down, whereas the autumn joy sedum, it fills out the containers as well as it shoots up. And then over in this area, I wanted, I had a lot of annuals I bought, and so I just kind of put them in containers, and the containers grew. But I like this particular area because it's very welcoming to me, all of these different containers with the different flowers. So, and on the table, I've repeated the Autumn Joy sedum, so that makes 3. 1, and then the 2 down below. I like odd numbers at times, just like when decorating. Odd numbers are good at times, and sometimes 2s and 4s are good. And that, what is that, Beacon Impatient, I added just for some consistent color, it being an annual. Coming down off the back deck, I decided to put Beacon Impatience on both sides of this particular walkway for more of like a welcoming feel. And I added this mirror probably, I don't know, about 5 or 6 years ago, and I painted those lines in the middle to give it more of a window pane look, to reflect the flowers in the garden, as well as it reflects the beautiful snow in the winter. I've repeated the pink Beacon Impatience in this back long flower bed because repetition is so important in a garden to give a feel of peacefulness and order. And once again, to the left, I've repeated the Beacon Impatience as well. And there you'll see my quick fire. That firelight, I was pruning back there and a piece of a branch fell on that poor firelight. But that firelight, and then after it is another quick fire. But I put this firelight here because I wanted repetition, because I already had this firelight, which is obviously older. And so I wanted on both sides, kind of flanking. There's that 2 I was talking about. Sometimes 2s are good too, even numbers, in decorating and in placement in the garden. So I wanted kind of like a flanking look. So the one firelight on this side and the other firelight on this side. Back headed to the hidden garden, I put anise hyssop. I decided to put it on both sides. It was already on this side. And I added some, divided it, and added some more on this side this year. And so it kind of makes like an entryway that you kind of have to go through. And this wall was really stark back here, the back of this garage wall. And so I found those for like 20 cents each at a garage sale. So, and I thought they kind of warmed up the wall. As well as that welcome sign I added recently, because before it was just the wood kind of fencing I built. It was kind of a stark halt to your eye, but the welcome sign kind of softens it. Now that I've cut down that huge bush or tree that was over here, there's a lot more light coming in this way. I love my reciprocating saw. So what I think I'm going to do is this extension I just built, probably about 3-4 days ago. I have some screws up there that protrude out, and what I want to do is maybe putting a climbing rose up there, and I could train it onto those screws, or at least some of those screws. I'll see. The cedar wood is beautiful, but I still feel like I need some greenery to kind of break it up some. So I'm thinking that climbing rose will look good. Though it will take some years, but I'll just have to be patient. Consider subscribing, and thanks for watching.